last week.
Ah,
Because
that's right. That's right. It's the
I
Unready room.
said,
There you go.
Discovery first, and then we talk about the other thing.
All right.
Picard. That's it. I can remember words.
Everybody catch that? Awesome.
Everyone has it. Yeah, everyone's got it now. Oh wait,
Excellent.
we weren't live yet. Now I have to explain again.
Oh, I think they caught the tail. I think they caught most of the explanation. We were live, I think, earlier than you thought we were.
Oh, okay. Good thing I didn't swear.
Yeah, welcome everybody to the Unready Room. I'm Dan Gunther. With me, of course, is Brandi Jackola. Hey, we're here talking about 2 episodes. It's a double dose of Star Trek. We've got Star Trek Discovery, Rosetta, and Star Trek Picard, The Stargazer, to talk about. And I'm really excited. So this uniform, I don't usually dress up in a uniform, but I figured I would this time because I got this and a science version of it like a couple years ago, and now they're replaced already. So I'm like, darn it, I didn't even really get any chance really with it. So I figured I better break it out, even though it's already out of date as far as Star Trek Picard is concerned. So yeah, what the
It
heck.
happens. It happens. Well, it can't be as fast as the final episode of season 3 of Discovery and the season premiere of season 4. It's like, okay, you had these uniforms for one scene and you've changed them again.
Good riddance, I say. The grays. Oof.
Agree. It was not good. I much prefer what they have now.
Absolutely. So yeah, we're talking, like I said, Discovery and Picard, and as we decided last week, and as Brandy reminded me, we are talking about Discovery first. So season 4, episode 11, Rosetta. So yeah, we've got our mission to contact the 10C. We're going to check out this planet that they might have previously lived on before going inside the hyperfield thing. And Burnham's hoping to discover something about their civilization, something that they can use to make a connection with them. And we've got them going down to the planet on a shuttle. But before that, we have the delegates all kind of there, and one of them in particular has a bit of a problem with this plan. So, General Ndoye, what are your thoughts on her objections here?
Well, she's always been the one that wants to just charge in there and destroy the DMA and destroy whatever. She is used to having to defend Earth, and she's
Mhm.
still in that same mindset. Granted, Earth still has not returned to the Federation and don't know if they ever will. However, it's it's still that, it's a different time now. The burn is over, everybody's traveling again, and she hasn't adapted. She's still going everywhere with her fists up.
Mhm.
So her reaction did not surprise me in the least.
Yeah, absolutely. She's very much has a martial mindset, and of course, being a high-ranking member of the military, that kind of makes sense. And like you said,
Yes.
they've been on a defensive posture for quite a long time with regards to Earth and stuff. So yeah, that's kind of unfortunate. The mindset that leads to, I guess, in this situation, because this is supposed to be a mission of peaceful first contact. So you know, not to say that differing viewpoints aren't helpful, but what it
Oh, they
leads to in
are.
this episode, I think, is probably not ideal.
Well, I honestly don't know that it would have gone any differently had they not gone down to the planet.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
um, I don't know. It seems like no matter what choice they make, if it's not attacking 10C or trying to destroy the DMA, Ndoye is not going to be happy with it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we. I'm just looking in the chat, and I'm seeing some hashtags that people are trying to get trending. I think we've got Airlock Tarka that's
No kidding.
making a return appearance this week. Um, and I like
Ooh.
Patrick's steamed bananas with the lovely roundabout possible reference to Star Trek Lower Decks. That
Oh,
was
it's a reference. Come on. That is absolutely a reference. You don't just suddenly decide, what should we have coming out of the replicator that's weird? Oh, steamed bananas. Hence my middle name. I know it's a reference. It is. That's
absolutely.
not an accident. And I literally turned to Dave when that happened. When the minute Linus said steamed bananas, I looked at Dave and said, banana, hot. Banana, hot.
Yeah, Nikki and I made that same connection right away.
Yeah.
That was wonderful. That's fun. And yeah, feed Tarka to an Armus. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
What's the slowest and most painful way to go? That's how I want him to go.
Yeah. All right, let's trying to think of the order I want to talk about stuff in this episode, and I think let's start with Tarka and Book just to kind of get it out of the way because I'm I'm sorry. I'm I'm kind of getting real tired of like Tarka I was already done with. Like that's all right. Don't, that's whatever. I'm done with him already. I'm getting kind of tired of Book. Like come on, dude.
All I can say is I truly, truly believe that he is going to have a moment,
Mhm.
and it's gonna be soon, like really soon, because there's only 2 episodes left.
Yeah.
So let's guess next episode. He's gonna have his true and full come to Jesus moment.
Yeah. And I know he is, and I'm going to welcome him back, of course, at that time.
Mhm.
But like right now, like the justification where, first of all, they're gonna piggyback on Discovery, get into this hyperfield, and take out the power source of this species that is so far like really. How are you going to do
Mhm.
that? Just wing it, I guess. Um, and then his justification when he says, oh, Burnham will get something on the planet and they'll be able to get through the hyperfield, and then we'll do our thing. And Tarka says to him, and I absolutely agree with Tarka's question here, which is, why do you have so much faith in Burnham to get this done, but not to do the negotiation with the 10C? And Book says, I trust Burnham. I don't trust the 10C. That is a weak justification, I think, personally.
It is, because how can you trust something that you know nothing about? How can you not trust something you know nothing about?
Mhm.
So, that's dumb. It is dumb, but again, you know, he is acting from a place of pain, and
Mhm.
pain will cloud your judgment, and we've seen it happening all season long,
Yeah.
both with Tarka and with Book. And Michael's better than that. She's
Mhm.
been there. She knows the score. She is not going to make that mistake again.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I just and it's a I know it's a temporary thing. I'm just like right now, I'm just like, oh, when I watch
I
that
know. Yeah. I just wanna punch them both in the throat. Tarka more so.
Yeah.
Like, I wanna punch Tarka a lot in the throat, and then in the groin area. I just had enough. He's
His
irredeemable.
neutral zone, right?
His neutral zone, thank you. Wanna punch him so many times in the neutral zone.
Yeah. Yeah, I anytime he brings up the like, oh, we're trying to save all these lives, your conscience versus the lives we're going to save, he doesn't care. That's not, he's just using that to manipulate Book. And
Mhm.
I I've got to imagine Book sees that on some level at
Yeah.
least, and isn't just buying what Tark is selling. I don't think he's just blindly buying it, but yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know. Anyway.
Mhm.
um we'll come back to them because I want to talk about some stuff with
Of
regards to them
course.
towards the end of the episode. But let's go to the mission to this planet. First of all, the Dyson rings around the star. That's pretty cool. I'm like, let's go check
Cool
those out.
and yeah,
That's
cool
cool.
and weird. It's just like all of it's just cool and weird and it's just different. And this
Mhm.
is exactly what Star Trek is for, is to show us these weird things that we're not used to seeing and a species that we know nothing about and probably won't be able to communicate with the universal translator. And just this is exploration. This
Mhm.
is the mission of a ship like Discovery because it was a science vessel to begin with. This
Yeah.
is what they do.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And this whole mission to the planet had a really cool exploration feeling to it. And
Yes.
uh all the way from like the Tron spacesuits they've got, and
I
that
know. I love it.
I
It
love it
makes me
too.
happy. It's just like I said, "Look, Dave, they've got their Tron Legacy suits on."
So much fun. Yeah, one of my favorite quotes, by the way, Patrick. Weird is part of the job. Yeah,
Mhm.
Starfleet officers. That's their job for sure. Um, yeah. So this mission to this planet, I'm loving this. I'm really enjoying the weirdness of it, like you said. And Saru comes into contact with something. Well, at first, we don't know exactly what's happened. It feels like, and I love that they picked Saru to start with because,
Mhm.
we're like, oh, is this his old Kelpian physiology reasserting itself somehow? What's going on? He starts seeing things and his fear response is being triggered, and we get that I sense the coming of death repeated that he was known for early on. And I said this in the podcast that I recorded with Bruce. I just have to say it again now. Doug Jones acting, like
Mm.
like the faces of Saru and how he presents him and how he's changed, and now this version of him again kind of thing. Not only that, but acting through all of those prosthetics, and then with the added layer of the helmet and the suit. Like, I personally would have had a complete claustrophobic breakdown, and I'm not even claustrophobic, but I would have there's no way I would have been able to do that. And he's just phenomenal in this. Everyone was very good, but of course Doug Jones is just so good.
Well, he's got so many things to be worried about while in the Saru costume and
Mhm.
makeup, because there's the shoes,
Mhm.
and there's the makeup and the pieces that might come loose at any second, and there's emoting through all of that, and just the physicality that he's created for Saru, keeping that up. And he makes it look like it's just second nature, like it's just Saru. This is Saru. We know Saru.
Mhm.
And you have to remember that there's this person underneath all of that, and he makes me forget that, and that is a truly good actor.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, when you forget that Doug Jones exists and you just see Saru, this
Mhm.
Kelpian on screen. It's so good.
Yes.
So good.
Yes. It's
Absolutely.
it's amazing. He's amazing. I love him. I've always loved him for like 30 years now, but now he's just like, wow, right, way, way up there in the stratosphere.
Absolutely, yeah. Uh, okay, yeah. So thanks for bringing this up because this is a science fiction idea and a science, not even fiction, but science speculation idea that I've seen for years. I love those like illustrations of, what would life look like if it existed in a gas giant, and these creatures that are really light and float through the dense gases of a gas giant and all this kind of stuff. So this idea of the 10C being vast organisms that live in the atmosphere of a gas giant is a Carl Sagan idea. Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that like fueled my imagination as a kid reading about stuff like that, and to see it in Star Trek now, I'm just like, the influence of their science advisor is all over this season, and this is just the latest example, and I love that. That's really cool.
Agreed. Well, and we actually talked a little bit, not about this specifically, but about science fiction in general, that science fiction starts in science fact. And it's people taking what is possible right now, what's cutting edge right now, and taking it to the extreme conclusion. And that's basically what science fiction is that's where
Mhm.
it starts, is actual science.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And yeah, so they find these fossilized bones, which are kind of akin to cartilage. How
So
cool was
big.
that imagery, right?
It was brilliant, and I thought, "Is that like the pillar of one of their buildings?" Oh, no. It's like one of their appendages, and it's
Mhm.
gigantic.
Yeah, that was, and I'm seeing the influence of them having that AR wall uh,
Mhm.
all over this, because not once did I get the feeling that these were actors on a stage, which
Right.
is unavoidable in green screen stuff. Like, as good as it is, there'll be that moment where you're like, I don't think this person's really there. But that's so immersive, and they're reacting to the things around them so well. I love this. I would love to see behind the scenes photos of them on the set doing this right now, because that's really cool.
I actually have seen some on the scene,
Mhm.
behind the scenes photos, and I do believe they might have been outside because there were people around with umbrellas to
Oh, nice.
shade them when
Yeah.
they were between takes. So I think they might have actually been in a real place for part of it.
That's cool. That's really cool. You know, really method actor stuff. They actually flew them out past the edge of the galaxy and put them on
Right,
the planet.
exactly. Yeah. They decided, "Oh, hey, you know what? We found this species a while ago. This would make a great Star Trek story.
Mhm.
Plus, we could shoot on location, so let's just skip the galactic barrier and just, go over and have a visit. I'm sure we can get the proper permits to film. It'll be fine."
Totally. It's like when they faked the moon landing by
Mhm.
deciding that for that realism, they should actually fly to the moon and film it there,
I
because
know, right?
it
Yeah. They
just
figured, "If we're gonna make people believe this, we've gotta make it look good, so let's shoot on location."
yeah, absolutely. Stanley Kubrick is just would not have it in. No, I'm just kidding. Kidding, kidding, kidding. Anyway, I don't believe the moon landings were faked, for the record.
I don't either.
It's sad that we have to um actually state that, but anyway,
Mm.
um a little side story here too while this is going on. Dr. Harai had kind of an interesting bit in this episode where he's very blunt, and the president kind of calls him on it. There's some interesting interactions there, and I was sorry to bring this up. It was a fleeting thing that passed through our minds while we were watching, but he was in the bar there playing Wordle. Look, no, I'm just kidding.
No, it was like a four-dimensional crossword puzzle is what it looked like to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Ooh.
Ooh,
Um,
gravity.
there's the headphones that I would normally be wearing, but I'm not tonight because I felt like it didn't go with the aesthetic. um, yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. For those who didn't know what the AR wall was, TJ has a great explanation here. So it's basically a giant TV screen wrapped around a soundstage, and it shifts perspective with the camera for creating virtual sets. They also call it the holodeck. You know, we're close. We're only a couple steps away from that, I think. But yeah, it was pioneered on The Mandalorian. I think was the first to really use that, and then what's now Paramount went and bought basically it from The Mandalorian, or bought a version of it, and have been using it for Star Trek these seasons that are currently coming out. So
Mhm.
it's pretty cool technology. It's no longer are the actors reacting to a tennis ball on a stick. Rather, they can have something a little bit more realistic to kind of play against, which is really helpful, I think. So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, Dr. Harai, yeah. So yeah, this is a little bit blunt,
A
but
little bit.
yeah,
He
I
basically
wouldn't.
tells them to don't F it up.
Yeah, don't screw it up. Yeah,
Just
um,
wow.
it kind of. I mean, kind of says what we're all thinking a little bit, but I don't think any of us would say it like that. Like, more along the lines of, boy, I sure hope we get something that could really be helpful, and do your best. Don't screw it up. Yeah, same ultimate sentiment, I guess, but a little rougher around the edges for sure. And it's funny with him being such a language expert that he cuts to the quick on everything. He doesn't use flowery language to kind of be diplomatic about things. He communicates the exact idea he wants to communicate without regard to what makes people feel, I guess.
Well, yeah, here's the funny thing is that at work I've been going through this a lot of training, which is affectionately called leadership boot camp because I am an office manager, so I am technically a leader. Don't feel like a leader a lot of the time. It's not generally my favorite role, but
Hmm.
it's interesting how the lessons are paired with psychology, and they had us do a personality test, which was only 7 questions long, and it had a 1 question and a list of 5, 4 or 5 answers, and you had to choose the one that was most like you, right? Well, they nailed my personality. And there's only 4 types, and there's usually a combination type. So there's a leader type, there's a people type, there's a free spirit type, and there's a task type. And I have to say Harai is the leader type. He does not mince words. He gets to the point. He sees the big picture and he wants everybody to hurry up and get their stuff done. So that's where he's coming from. And I immediately even said to my husband, I said, now that guy's a leader type. And they don't have patience for social niceties or, banter, anything like that. They just want to get things done and they know how to get them done. So that's I just started laughing because I'm like, I'm applying this to everything now. Now I'm applying it to Star Trek.
Makes sense. Yeah. Um, yeah. And I like that they're kind of showing those different types, I guess.
Well, see, being a leader type and being a leader are not the same thing.
No, of course not, for sure.
So,
And I think that's fairly effectively demonstrated by President Rilek when she, kind of takes him to task for this. So I
mhm,
liked their little scene together. I thought that was great.
agreed. And she also knew the answer to the thing he was doing.
Mm-hmm. Obligation. Yeah.
Mhm.
That was good for sure. Okay, so yeah, we've got this mission. We've got Saru kind of flipping out because his fear response has been activated. And then Culber's looking at him, examining him once they go into this structure, and then he catches this as well. And Burnham does shortly thereafter. And one thing I wanted to say about this whole thing was I loved the illustration of the scientific method, basically,
Mhm.
where they're trying to figure out exactly what happened, what caused it, right? So Saru was affected outside, Culber was affected inside. Culber was affected when he touched Saru, but Burnham didn't touch either Culber or Saru, and she got affected by this. And, gradually narrowing it down. I just kind of love that as a problem solving thing. Like I would almost take that scene out and show it as a like you know questioning things and trying to dig down on the answer to something that's going on. I love that. That was really well done.
I agree, and we're trying to figure it out along with them. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, I don't think it's by touch because Culber touched Saru a lot before he started having a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And Detmer wasn't reacting to anything. She wasn't
Yeah.
having any issues at all. And so they thought, it was possibly something catching. It was definitely something debilitating because when you're having that fear response stimulated without, your agreement, without something actually happening to stimulate that. That's in and of itself frightening. So you've
Mhm.
got your normal fear response triggered by this artificial fear response. That's a lot of fear, and it's a miracle they didn't all just run screaming back to the shuttle.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, the fact that they're still trying to investigate this and trying to push through it all the way
Mhm.
from Saru. And there's a particular moment that I forgot to mention that I just love, where he's obviously being affected by this, and Burnham kind of just looks over at him and gives him a little nod of encouragement, and Saru just kind of like just stiff upper lip. I love that moment. It was just so subtle but really really well done. That's and acting again through all of that prosthetics. That's so good. Ah, man.
Yeah. It's just this whole sequence is it's moving because we're watching these people, we're going through the same thing that they're going through. We don't know what they're going to find. They don't know what they're going to find. We don't even have any guesses at this point because we still have no idea what the 10C are like. We still don't even know for sure their full appearance. We've seen a bone.
Mm-hmm.
That is it.
Yeah.
And then and they did show a scan that there was a mass grave beneath where they were
Yeah.
outside. And I'm glad that they didn't give us more detail on that because that would just be hard.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
yeah.
Well, they determined that this structure they found is a nursery because the versions of the creatures they find in there are infants, and the different hydrocarbon dusts basically are like pheromones, and they encounter a different one that gives them a very different feeling of protection and love. And that was another scene that was really interesting, and my heart really did break when Detmer very obviously starts to say, I've never felt this before, or like, what a
Mm,
heartbreaking moment to like both feel that feeling for the first time, but then realize that that has been missing. And
mm,
wow, that was I do love the backstory we get on Detmer this week as well too. That was really welcome. She's been someone who's been there from episode 1, which is one of the few characters who has, because she was on the Shenzhou as well. And she's someone that I've just really admired and appreciated throughout Discovery. And I'm realizing I'm kind of sounding like Adira right now. She's just so cool.
yeah, she is. I like what Reno said about her, but I can't say it on air.
Yes, that was one of my favorite quotes of the episode as well. In an episode with a few great quotes for sure. Uh,
Mm,
but yeah, she is definitely that.
yes, she is. She
Yeah.
is. And I loved that conversation between Adira and Jet, and Jet basically saying, "Yeah, ask her how she was after we came out of a wormhole and crashed."
Mm-hmm.
So, because we all remember that.
Yeah, and I
And
mean,
go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, and everybody, no matter how together they are, they're gonna have their moments, and they're gonna have the things that unbalance them, because they wouldn't be human otherwise, or Kelpian or Klingon or whatever. you know,
They wouldn't be a carbon-based life form otherwise.
exactly. Definitely. Okay. Trying to get through things fast because we do have a lot, of course, to cover.
I know,
But
right?
there's still some stuff that I want to talk about. I do love the reason for the title of the episode. Of course, they find, I think they said 16 separate pheromones, basically, that kind of come together to form different emotions and words, basically, and that's pretty cool. That's a huge get. Like, as far as learning about this species, that's, I think, one, like, if you're trying to communicate with them, their entire basis for the communication is pretty great. no matter how much Dr. Harai wants to minimize what they've discovered here. But he learned.
Of course, the Rosetta Stone required 2 languages for context of the third, and then he gets this look from Rillick.
That was terrific.
It's just, oh, but great job, all the same.
Yeah. Oh, not. He's working on it. He's aware anyway.
Yeah, it's a work in progress.
For sure. One thing that I did appreciate too, and I've seen this echoed online as well. I do love that the opposite viewpoint is acknowledged. That they figure that, like, okay, 10C, they protect their young, they have these emotions, we can connect on that level, we share this understanding, at least on some level. But there is the possibility that they are completely aware of what they're doing and they just don't care. I mean, we test on animals, and if it's in the name of what's good for humanity, we've kind of proven that we will do what it takes for the good of humanity at the expense of other creatures. And if this species sees themselves at a level above the sentients that populate the Milky Way, maybe that's the price they've decided that they can, they can live with killing millions or billions or trillions to power their civilization, right?
Yeah, after this episode, I'm coming more down on the side of they don't know that they're doing this damage.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand our level of sentience. They don't think that they're sentient life where they're sending this thing. That's what I'm coming down on the side of after this, because I really just can't see. I mean, I understand now why they've created the hyperfield, why they're trying to protect themselves. They don't want to go through this again.
Mm-hmm.
And who would? They lost so many of their race because no one could evacuate a planet in time. And I mean, you couldn't even do it in a year. It just would be impossible. And so, they knew that there were going to be casualties, and they wanted to make sure that that was never going to happen again. Wouldn't we do the same if we could?
Mm-hmm.
So I just really feel like they don't know what the DMA is causing. They don't
Yeah.
realize that they have destroyed sentient life. I really am coming down on that side right now because, if they value life like that, I don't think, I mean, it's just a matter of lack of knowledge. It's a matter of ignorance,
Mm-hmm.
not a matter of cruelty. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I think I come down on the same side as you as well. That's my guess. I do appreciate that there's the acknowledgement that that might not be the case, though. I
Yeah.
like that. They're preparing for that.
Mhm.
Hope for the best, prepare for the worst, right? That's the.
That's what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's go back to Book and Tarka briefly, just because. So they're sneaking all around Discovery because they're going to plant this patch in the computer that's going to make Zora blind to the ship as they latch on and fly into the hyperfield. Um, they manage to lure people out of engineering to do that. Meanwhile, Book's talking with General Ndoye, and now Book and Tarka have their inside man, I guess, on Discovery, which is unfortunate. But my favorite bit, because Jet Reno's in it in the episode, and we've talked a bit about that, but um, Jet comes upon Tarka doing this in engineering, and they do this thing where that's the end of the scene and we don't see what happens for quite a while. And I didn't think that, like, I didn't think like he would kill Jet or do anything like
Oh,
that, but I was like, I hope she's okay. Like, what's going on? Please tell us what's happening. And then that revelation at the end that, something along the lines of, don't you hate it when you come home to unexpected hostages or something like that.
Mhm.
So that sucks that Jet Reno is captured by them. But in terms of the show, I'm assuming this means we get to see more of her in the next two episodes. So I'm not that sad about it.
Well, all I can say is it's good to have a third party in there that's as smart and talented as Reno is,
Mm,
because she's gonna see right through Tarka's BS.
yeah.
Absolutely, she's gonna see right through it. And, she lost her wife. It's not
Mm,
like she doesn't know what it's like to lose somebody. She absolutely does. So, I just feel like she's gonna have some snark. Some snark for Tarka.
This is funny because that's exactly what I said on the podcast. And Bruce made the great point that, like, uh, Tarka and Book together have kind of become a little insufferable lately. And those conversations, I'm just like, oh, he's just manipulating him, and Book's just being deluded, and blah, blah, blah. But you mix in a bit of Jet Reno snark in there. I'm kind of looking forward to those conversations now, which that's a relief.
Oh, yes. Yes. I'm really looking forward to, seeing what happens on the ship with her there, because she ain't no dummy.
No,
So,
no.
I think I don't know what she's gonna do, but
Well,
I think it's gonna be interesting whatever it is, because when Tig Notaro is on the screen, magic happens.
absolutely. Well, she's smart as heck, and she's an engineer, so I
Yes.
can't see that force field holding her for too long. That's my prediction. I could be wrong about that,
Mhm.
but
It's hard to say, it's hard to say, and honestly, if that, force field existed, then why the hell wasn't Tarka in it after he blew up
oh
the DMA?
yeah, no kidding.
Really? It's like
Yeah.
you just put him there and you don't let him out. It's like,
No.
it's either this or you get spaced. Which do you choose, buddy?
I do have to say I did appreciate the look that Book gave Tarka when he
Uh-huh.
turned forward and saw Reno.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
like, what is going to be enough to get you to realize that Tarka doesn't care about what you want, Book? He
mhm.
only cares about what he wants. All he cares about is making his little transporter work. And honestly, no matter what happens, he is not going to come to a good end. He is
Yeah,
not. Whether
absolutely.
he whether he gets to that universe and it's not what he expected, or he gets there and Oros is there and doesn't want him there, it is not gonna work out the way he wants, and I cannot wait to see him served his just desserts.
Here, here. Absolutely. Um, Anything we haven't talked about with regards to this episode? Final thoughts for Rosetta.
I found this episode really inventive. I love the idea of the hydrocarbons being a form of communication, and, I can't wait to see all the things that they do with that, how they're gonna use that to communicate. There's a part in this episode where Ndoye goes storming off and saying, "We should have just gone straight for the hyperfield," and I'm like, "You don't know how to get through the hyperfield. What are you going to do when you get there?"
Mm-hmm.
So, this idea that they could just go to the hyperfield and muscle their way in, again, it's that fists always up sort of mentality. It's like, you don't know how to get through that. You don't know how to get through that. There's no point in going there now. But, that's all I have to say on that. So, this was just a very interesting episode, and it was so fun to see things we've never seen before, and I just really appreciate that.
Yeah. I Yeah. Do you have a rating? Sorry, I forgot.
Oh, of course. I give it, let's see here. I give it one giant Tig Notaro snark, frankly.
Ooh, that's terrific. Yeah, I enjoyed this episode. I think, and I mean, this is, um, yeah, it's not. not as low a thing as it may sound, but I think it's my least favorite episode of the season. But
Hmm.
I don't know. It just felt a little bit like, I can't quite put my finger on it, but I was I know absolutely know that we are on chapter 11 of a 13 chapter novel. Um my only thing is, and I have to admit, I'm borrowing a bit of stuff from something from a Steve Shives video that I just recently watched. And he makes a really good point that for every single season of Discovery we've gotten so far, they've done this thing where the last like one or two episodes of the season, they drop about 1 million plot points and wrap everything up really, really quickly. And it feels a little bit like that's what we're heading towards here. And it's not the worst thing in the world. I'm on record of as loving every previous season of Discovery and the finales, but at the same time, it's just a little bit like I feel like we're in for that again, where it's going to be very fast paced, a lot of plot points, a lot of wrapping up right at the very end of the season. And I don't know, I'm not a writer. I don't know what the fix for that is, or even if it needs fixing, if that's just a personal preference thing of mine. But it felt like a little bit of we're stuck in quicksand a little bit in this episode. That said, I liked what went on. I liked the discovery. I like there it is, in the title. I like the personal moments between the characters. I like learning more about Kayla. It's just I want it to ramp up a little bit more rather than kind of walk up to the finale and then get dropped a bunch of stuff, which is not really the fault of this episode. It's just me looking at the next 2 weeks going like, ooh, they got a lot to do. But that's all.
The way that I look at it is that they're doing a different kind of storytelling here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an emotionally intelligent kind of storytelling rather than just pew pew action action.
Yeah.
And discovery is about discoveries of all kinds, personal discoveries, uh duty discoveries, friendship discoveries, literal discoveries of new life and new civilizations. And I've known that from season 1. I felt that from season 1. And so and real life often doesn't give us that nice build up. Real life drops a ton of crap on us all at once.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like it just mirrors what would probably actually happen were this not a story and actually happening in real life.
Yeah.
So that's just my personal take on it. And everybody's take is different, and that's fine. It's just the way
Mm-hmm.
I feel about it. So
Yeah. And I guess to your point, like it's smarter storytelling without the pew pew action. But I feel like the last 3 seasons, it's been like that all up until the final episode, which is like a lot of pew pew action, which
well,
is
it
fine.
depends. It
But
depends. Because it kind of went that way. Well, season 1 didn't really go that way. We had some pew pew action because there was a war
yeah,
going on,
my
which we
problem with
missed most
season
of.
one, just to really quickly interject, my problem with
Sure.
season one was the pace. Like it was like
Mhm.
so much happened in that final episode, and the pew pew action for me was season 2 and 3. Like that was over the top for me personally. But that's yeah, minor criticism because I loved those episodes too. That's all.
Yeah. Well, it's not a problem for me. So it's felt different every time. I haven't felt like, oh, this is just a retread of this. So
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate Discovery for that. Is it that it's kept me engaged, it's kept me curious as to what they're gonna do next, where they're gonna go next, and, they're really treading new ground right now, and I
Mm-hmm.
just love it.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's never been one of my criticisms of Discovery is
Oh,
that
of course not. Yeah.
it retreads stuff ever. No, definitely not. So yeah, um, all right, let's move on. I guess to Star Trek Picard, season 2, episode 1. the Stargazer, and boy, what an awful episode. That's terrible. Oh
Is
my
it
God, no!
is it the Stargazer or is it just Stargazer?
It's the Stargazer.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Which it has a double meaning
Hmm.
because it's the whole ship thing, but it's also look up, Jean-Luc.
Yeah. Well, the
Look up
title I
to
think
the
specifically refers to Picard because it is the Stargazer. I think
yeah.
specific, obviously the ship as well, but specifically I think referring to Picard as the titular Stargazer himself because of
Yeah.
the whole look up thing. But you're right, it does have that second meaning in the ship name as well, which is kind of cute.
Yeah.
For sure. So yeah, we start. Speaking of pew
Okay.
pew.
Okay, let me stop right here because I hate when you start at the end and you come back after the credits and it's 48 hours earlier. Stop doing it! I hate that so much. It is overused so much. Stop it! Okay, going on.
All right.
Please continue.
All right. I didn't mind it, but I know a lot of people that dislike that as well. So fair enough.
It's
Fair enough.
overdone. It's overdone. I hate it. Please stop it.
Okay. So this opening scene, what I appreciated about it was I don't know why, but I really loved the perspective that it gave us of the security team being called to the bridge. Like we've never seen that before. It was almost a lower decks moment where the security
That's
team's
fair.
running through the corridors, and then like all the turbolift scene was missing was the elevator music. Like Girl from Ipanema playing while they stand quietly waiting for to go to the bridge. That was wonderful. And this whole scene, like, what's going on? What's happening? And even though we get just kind of the briefest glimpses of it, the corridor, the bridge, the fact that they've brought in a lot of the old guard that did the sets and stuff in past Star Treks to work on Picard season 2 and 3, it really shows. Like, I think they really brought an old school Trek aesthetic to it, which I really appreciate. And by old school, I mean like TNG film era. So not that old school, but old school, you know. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, then we get the 48 hours earlier. Sorry. And we see a great, wonderful day on the Picard Chateau with the final day of harvest. And my first thought was, of course they beam the grapes off the vines. Of course they would. Why?
Of course they do.
Yeah, like that makes perfect sense. I love that. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just funny seeing these little flashes of light, these harvesters. Definitely not combine harvesters anymore. Not that you
No,
would ever do that with grapes. You would never do
no.
that with grapes. But yeah, it was a nice busy day, end of season, and just doing the thing. Harvest, making wine almost instantaneously, it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the futuristic winemaking was fun. That was kind of cool to see. And the designing the label, I don't know, there's so much of that. I was like, I want a closer look at all of that. That looks really cool. And we get a look between Picard and Laris, which kind of portends some things that happen in this episode. Can I make a complaint? My first complaint of this.
I will probably join you on this, so go ahead.
I really liked Siobhan.
Me too. I was gutted that they killed him off and we didn't even get to mourn him.
Oh, I really liked him. He was such a good. I mean, Laris is the best Romulan I've ever seen ever. I love her. Siobhan is up there though. I really liked him as well. So that was sad.
You can't see. I'm going to lean over. I'm actually wearing my Laris and Siobhan pin in solidarity. because I feel like he was not
Hey,
given, he was not given, a proper send off. It's just, yeah. Peace to you, Siobhan.
I've got a signed trading card of him here somewhere too that I might have to like put up on a little display or something as a little just reminder for the rest of the season that this season
Yeah.
is built on the ashes of Jaban.
Yeah, and how they just work it in so casually, and I'm like, what? Oh, it's been a year and a half for you. It was 5 seconds for me.
Oh, yeah, that was tough. But yeah, that said, this bit of a storyline with Picard and Laris is interesting, and I like what it kind of brings up for him. Um, I want. Where's Beverly? Sorry, I'm just gonna say it. Darn it. I wish. I know that this is like the worst type of criticism where you're like, well, they should have done this instead. But like, if it was Beverly in that role instead, I would love that so much. But alas, it is not to be.
Well, this is my feeling about it. They're giving us a little bit of exposition and dialogue. Jabon's dead. Oh, we have to explain how Romulans, grieve differently, and they don't feel lost the same way humans do, and they honor that love by loving again even more deeply. And I thought, okay, wait a minute. And then she basically hits on him, and I'm like, this was not earned. You gave us no preamble to this. You told us about Jabon and frickin' dialogue. You did not earn this moment. I did not like it. And I mean, I understand what it's bringing up in Picard. I get that. But it was not earned.
Fair enough. I'm gonna make a controversial statement that at least part of our audience probably won't like very much. But I always kind of thought that like Picard, Jabon, and Laris had something going on. Uh, Interestingly, yeah.
But yeah, no,
Anyway,
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. You know, uh, sexuality is fluid. That's what I'm gonna say.
yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah, it's all good.
that's
I
out
mean,
there now.
well,
Yeah, there
I
we
could
go. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you.
through ball.
Oh man.
Thank you. That's amazing.
Anyway, that's that fan. I'm all I'm saying is if it doesn't already exist, that fanfic is waiting to be written by somebody out there. So
Oh, it probably already has.
I'm
Let's
sure.
be honest.
For those in the know, TJ, yes, that is absolutely the correct word. I didn't think most people would know that one, but yeah.
Yes.
Excellent. Anyway, moving on.
Please do.
Yeah. Anyway, so I do like the questions that it raises for Picard, and I've seen some people online saying like, why do we have to question why Picard chose to be alone? I don't necessarily see that question as a negative thing because some people have framed it as like, because he wants to be alone, that's fine, and I think that is fine. But I also think there's some value in raising the question and examining that. And we see some things in this episode that are very clearly drawn from Patrick Stewart's own life based on
Yes.
stories that he's told and the causes that he's chosen to champion in his life and stuff. So I think if Star Trek can be a vehicle to explore some of that, I'm willing to go along on the ride for it. However, that is raised kind of thing.
No, I agree with you. And the thing is that we think of the future in Star Trek as this thing where bad things like that don't happen, but they absolutely do.
Mm-hmm.
They absolutely do happen. And because people think it can't happen, they don't see the warning signs as much as they would if, they just paid attention. So I can absolutely see that this is possible, even in this more of, this better future that we're watching and living vicariously through because the world's a dumpster fire. But yeah, I actually am intrigued by that aspect of it, and I'm not 100% sure what happened, but it seems like probably daddy killed mommy is what it's feeling like at this point.
Yeah.
So, and maybe he saw it happen. I just the flashbacks are too disjointed even after watching it 3 times. They're still so just disjointed that I can pick up a few more little things each time, but it's still not enough information for me to
Mhm.
form a decision on what really went on there.
Yeah, for sure. I did almost miss this one. Sorry. So, thank you so much. Very generous. Thank you. And yeah, this Picard was fantastic, in my opinion, which we'll get to, I'm sure. So, um, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm just catching up on the comments because I had to scroll way back because I was like, oh, I forgot to acknowledge that. Um, so yeah, I that's interesting. I didn't think I guess my brain didn't go there that it went that far that that she was killed, but that's entirely possible. Yeah. Um, I think I just didn't. I think my brain just didn't allow for that possibility. But now that you've raised it, I'm like, oh, that's possible. I never thought of that. I saw the abuse for sure, and I don't know if
Yeah.
there may be more, but that's terrifying.
Yeah. It is. I feel like that is, the defining reason as to why he's chosen to be alone.
Mhm. And it makes
Because
sense.
he I mean, we've seen how Robert was when he went back after Best of Both Worlds. And, so this family has a problem with, overexpressing emotion.
Mhm.
And his father obviously turned that into physical abuse as well as probably emotional abuse. And maybe that is Picard running so far in the other direction and staying alone so that there's not even the possibility that he could ever do that to someone.
Yeah. DJ Kitty Cat raises a good point, though. We did see his mom as an elderly woman on TNG um, in the season 1 episode where no one has gone before, where people's thoughts and stuff became reality. So if that was based on a memory, which the scene implies, she did make it to an old age, according to that. Um,
Hmm.
so, hmm.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time that somebody rewrote history in Star Trek.
Well, let's get to that a little bit because according to Future's End, the Voyager 2-parter, the entire area of Los Angeles is underwater because of an earthquake in the 21st century. So I guess just not that part of downtown, maybe.
Maybe.
Ooh, yeah, that's
Hmm.
awkward.
Yeah, it's funny how time does march on and things that you say that sound so far in the future actually aren't.
Yeah, I think it was like 2047. Of course, it was a 47. The Hermosa quake sinks Los Angeles. So we see historic Los Angeles downtown in the 25th century here. So maybe, yeah, just not that part. That was
Mm,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, okay. So Picard's looking for a book to give to Elnor, we see later, written by Spock. And Laris, of course, knows exactly where it is. And
And
she,
exactly what it is, even though he didn't say what book it was,
mhm,
just described it.
yep, she knew exactly what he was looking for. And they have that awkward moment. And she's basically saying, like, I'm going to leave. because I'm too old for awkward. And good honor, I think,
Mhm.
in that moment. I'm kind of, yeah, you know, that was she took her shot, and Picard kind of yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah. This trauma must go awfully deep because, the guy died, and, I mean, he actually he's been through this before. He kinda died when that Nausicaan put a knife through his heart
Hmm.
and,
And when the
got
Borg
a new heart.
assimilated him.
Yeah, when the Borg assimilated him, he's died. I mean, this was really super dead, though. So, he wasn't just mostly dead. He was completely dead, and then got this new shot with this synth body, and it seems to me like, at this point, cast off all of that stuff and just live. Just
Mhm.
come on, Jean-Luc. But no, he's just falling back into old patterns, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of old patterns, he's back in Starfleet, and so is Raffi. And I kind of really liked this. It felt like a homecoming a bit. I really like where they're at versus obviously versus season one, because everyone was in such a dark place there. It's so nice to see Raffi in a uniform and smiling and happy. I'm kind of there for that. I love that.
Yeah, and at the same time, I'm thinking, but 7. Why aren't you with 7?
Hmm. Now, did you get a chance to listen to the audio drama No Man's Land?
I have not had
Oh,
time.
it's worth it, and this goes for everyone in the comments as well. Simon and Schuster put out the Star Trek Picard No Man's Land, an audio drama starring Michelle Hurd as Raffi and Jerry Ryan as Seven of Nine, written by Kirsten Beyer and Mike Johnson, and it is worth checking out. It's very, very good. Um, it's kind of neat how it kind of threads through what happened at the end of season one and the start of season two. It kind of has some gap filling there, which is really good. But yeah, we do see that Seven and Rafi are they kind of explored something, but it's not really happening right now. And Rafi's sad about that. And Seven's off with the Fenris Rangers, having inherited Rios's ship La Serena, and is protecting medical supplies and doing good deeds and stuff. So it's interesting where they find themselves.
Yeah, well, and Rafi does say, she's off helping all these people, and what kind of a-hole has to be more important than that? Hmm.
Mm.
And yeah, so she's kind of resigned to it. Because it's I love that she's calling out Jean-Luc. She's like, "Oh, yeah, so you're back in Starfleet, instead of working on yourself." And he's like, "And how is 7 doing?" And she says, "Touche."
That was great.
Yeah.
Um, and also, Elnor is the first full Romulan cadet at Starfleet Academy. That's pretty cool. I was like drawing a direct line from Worf to Elnor. Worf, the first Klingon in Starfleet. Elnor, the first Romulan. Former Federation adversaries. That's awesome. I think that's just a lovely little continuation there.
I should say, should note that he's the first fully Romulan
Which is what I
cadet.
said. Which
Yeah,
is what I said.
that I know, and just making that distinction because there
Mhm.
have been people who have been part Romulan,
Yeah.
but this is the first full one. I miss the hair though. I miss that long, glorious hair, man. I do
Yeah.
miss it.
Well, jumping ahead, the timelines changed, so maybe his hair's different. Maybe he's got the long locks in the changed timeline. That would be kind of cool. Anyway,
One can only hope, but we'll see.
yeah. So yeah, we've got Elnor at the Academy, and a lovely scene where Picard presents the book by Spock, with the lesson, oddly enough, from Spock to live a little, which is an interesting lesson from Spock, but okay, I can dig it. Um, the other thing that I wanted to mention is I love the retcon here, that the quote that Picard uses from his mother was, "Look up, let's see what's out there." which is, of course, "Let's see what's out there" is the final line in Encounter at Farpoint, the first episode of TNG. So they've now retconned that he was quoting his mom at the end of that episode, which I'm like, that is so cool. I love it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Basically, and just going from this episode, it seems like the theme of the season is going to be reflection, and I'm not talking about your reflection in a mirror or otherwise reflective surface, but I'm talking about self-reflection, reflection on life and relationships and character and all of those things. That seems to be what they're going for, because they're talking a lot about that road not taken in different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, okay. What do we got? We've got Rafi and Elnor on the Excelsior. That's pretty cool. And Rios, we find out, is in command of the USS Stargazer. And we've got Girardi and Soji off on kind of a goodwill tour to Federation worlds, expounding on how awesome synths are, which I thought that was pretty cool. And we get to see Deltons again.
How long has it been? How long has it been?
Has it been 1979? Like,
pretty much, yeah.
I can't think of any others that were like explicitly called out as Deltons that were like front and center, other than Ilea.
So, that was the last time we had a Delton around.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, one even got a speaking part.
Yeah, and kind of made a play at Girardi a little bit, and Girardi got her awkward explanation of all of her past relationships.
Girardi, half drunk, is my favorite Girardi.
Yeah, she was pretty
actually
great.
I can't say that because you guys haven't seen episodes 2 and 3, and I can't talk about them, but let me just say, every time she's on screen, she is magic.
I'm excited for that because I liked season 1 of Picard, but I also feel like season 1 of Picard did her a little dirty, and I'm excited to see other Girardi now. You know, not what happened to her in season 1.
Yeah, well, remember how I felt about her in season 1, and she still won me over by the end, because that is the power of Alison Pill, and that is a good characterization. That's a good actor. So, you know, I get that, and I just, I just love her now. Like,
Awesome.
I've almost overcompensating in my desire to just always have her on screen.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm excited because I've always loved the actor. She's terrific, and she's wonderful in this episode. Like, so you were talking about drunk Girardi when they beam back to the ship, and she's, brilliant as ever, but a little stumbly on the bridge as she's kind of navigating those weird railings and stuff. That was great. She's a lot of fun. So
she is. I also wanted her outfit. I mean, just the color of it, the interesting cut of it. I'm just like, I want that, but not the wedge heels. No, not gonna wear those.
Yeah,
that was also part of the stumbly thing. Never wear wedge heels if you're gonna drink a lot.
Good call. Yeah. I mean, I have no personal experience, but I can imagine.
Yeah, they're not very stable. So it's just just stay away from heels and drinking.
Nah. Well, so the Stargazer gets called away to investigate this anomaly that's opening, and it's green, so I don't know why they're not already thinking Borg.
That is one of my biggest problems with this episode, and I say problem, it's not that I hate the episode. I do not hate the episode. But I'm just like, really, guys? Really? Not one of you is thinking, oh, this could be Borg. I mean, this is that same shade of Borg. This is that green shade of Borg. This is probably Borg.
Just holding up paint samples to the view screen.
Yes, like, is this Borg green? Yeah, this is Borg green. All right. Can we get a sample of Borg green up on the view screen for comparison? So, I mean, seriously. And we obviously know they can do weird things with space, like with the transwarp conduits and whatnot. So, oh, come on, y'all. Even if you hadn't seen a single trailer or watched the opening credit sequence, you would know that was Borg.
But yeah, they're apparently communicating through their "Help Us, Picard," which is brings
Interesting.
Picard on the scene, and
Mhm.
I love the scene where he boards the Stargazer, and everyone's like, "Whoa, oh my," and standing at attention. I thought that was really great, and I love that it's partly because the history of the Stargazer, right? So the crew of this ship would be a little bit more, probably a little bit more in awe of Picard than the average Starfleet crew, which is probably already pretty in awe of Picard, like, let's be honest. But I love that personal connection there. That's pretty cool.
Yes, and if I remember what I read correctly, this new class of ship is actually from Star Trek Online.
Hmm. Oh, so I actually did do a little bit of reading before
Okay,
this, and there are a bunch of ships in that fleet that are originally from Star Trek Online. This particular one, the
but not this one.
Stargazer,
Okay.
yeah, Sagan class, was created specifically for Picard. Uh, but
See,
there
this is why I
are,
have you, Dan.
but But you bring up something really cool, which is the porting over of a bunch of ships from Star Trek Online, which is awesome, kind of populating that fleet, along with Luna class, which is like Riker's ship, the Titan. There's
Mhm.
some Akira class, there's some Sovereign class ships like the Enterprise E, and there's a couple Inquiry class, which was the fleet at the end of season one. They're in there as well, and beautiful. I love seeing all the starship porn. Let's be honest. I was on board for that. I was very happy.
I'm always down for some ship porn. It's
Mhm.
good for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. And yes, I never thought of that, but yeah, that's the first time the Luna class is in live action too, which is
Mhm.
that's pretty cool. Oh, I hope we get one nice front and center. Anyway, I'm here for the
Agree.
ships. That's and all the other stuff, but the ships. Oh,
The ships. I want there's gonna be Eagle Moss models of all of them. You know that there will be.
I am
So
getting a Stargazer. There is nothing that will stop me from getting a Stargazer. I'm so excited. Um, yeah, so Picard, of course, travels there, and that kind of leads us to what we see at the beginning of the episode with the Borg managing to get through the shields to beam the Borg Queen. That's what the closed captioning said. They didn't say that in dialogue, but the captioning said Borg Queen whenever she spoke. Um, I
well,
think they
they
did say
did
it in
say
dialogue. They did, right.
they yeah, they said we will send our queen.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry, my mind was, see, this is I'm starting to agree with you. The flashback thing sucks because I was thinking back to the first scene where they hadn't said it, but the closed captioning immediately spoiled Borg Queen in the dialogue. So,
Mhm.
I mean, not a huge spoiler, it's pretty obvious, but yeah, they did say it in dialogue later. You're right. And yeah, that brings us to the end, and the countdown. Picard initiates auto destruct, and the ship actually blows up. Wasn't expecting
Yeah.
that.
It's interesting, how his, auto-destruct code is kind of universal, apparently, and, how it's, exactly like the one that Kirk had in Star Trek 3.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it makes sense that it would work on multiple ships with him being an admiral, but yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
And also, it was a very short countdown. I'm not used to that with the auto destructs, but
Yeah,
that
I
was.
thought you got to set the countdown time. So how did the ship know?
I wonder, and I know there's something in the technical manual that like there's something like this, which isn't canon, of course. But I'm wondering if different codes mean different things. So if he'd
Mhm,
have said a different code, it would have been like variable time, but like that code is like this needs to blow up. You got 10 seconds, kind of thing.
mhm. Yeah. Well, that actually makes sense because if you're trying to prevent something and you really need it to happen fast, you don't want a 3-minute countdown,
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
So that does make sense. I like that.
Yeah.
I'll put that in my head
Lucky's
canon.
comment. I like that.
Actually, it would be Kirk who never reset default passwords, wouldn't it?
I love it. Terrific.
It started with
Oh,
Kirk. Yay,
it
if
gets
it's good enough for Kirk.
it gets better too. Oh man, I love it. You guys are awesome.
This is the best. You guys in the chat are always the best. You always make me laugh and make me think about things that I wouldn't otherwise, and I adore you all.
Hmm. Absolutely. So yeah, the ship blows up, and that's kind of shocking. I was like, well, that
Yeah,
was a short season, I guess. But no,
yeah.
of course, Picard wakes up at the chateau with, I guess I got to throw this badge out now because he's got a different one, and Fansets, I'm assuming, is going to get on that at some point here. He's got a larger, different looking Starfleet insignia. Everything seems a little weird. There's a very kind of martial looking painting of him. And Laris is nowhere to be found. He has this android servant named Harvey who has never heard of Laris, just says, oh, it's a Romulan name. And he asks what the hell is going on. And someone appears to answer him. A very young looking Q for a few seconds, anyway, which I love the way they did that. My only complaint, and it's a very minor complaint, he should have shown up in a TNG style uniform.
Mm.
And then when he snapped his fingers, changed into like the like sexy black thing he's got going on.
I guess he was just mirroring that Picard wasn't in, a uniform
Yeah.
because, let's face it, uh, Q loves Jean-Luc. Otherwise, he wouldn't keep bothering him. So, and I actually recorded an episode of the Vedic Assembly earlier today where we covered the 1Q episode in Deep Space Nine. And basically all of this directed frustration at Vosh was really just about how much he missed Jean-Luc.
Oh, totally.
And so we just headcanoned all of it and wrote a better episode. But but yeah, it's basically Q transformed into Hot Q, HQ for short, though it doesn't really need to be shortened. But oh my lord, I've never been attracted to Q. John Delancey, love him, he's great. Never been attracted to Q until now because apparently I have a thing for men with facial hair. So, and his goatee is just perfect. It's just perfect, and just he looks so delicious. Sorry, I'm done. I'm done.
I've put automated Joy's comment up there to
Yep. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, also, I wanted to bring up something that Dave said, that because I was just like, that is just a really weird shape for those badges, and he says it looks like an arrowhead. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that is true. It does look like an arrowhead. Well
Yeah.
done, Dave. So,
Very interesting. Yeah. It's one of those things like, I don't know, do I want it? What does it represent? Maybe it's bad, but or not maybe it's bad. It's pretty obviously looks like it's pretty bad. But oh man.
I mean, when you're
You
when your
guys are
freaking
awesome.
comm badge.
Y'all are terrific. I love you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That is the best laugh I have had all week. Woo! Yes. Yeah. Well, think of it though. I mean, if they're as barbaric as they seem, or as conquesty as they seem, of course their badge could also be used as a weapon.
Hmm.
Very pointy. You can do some damage with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, so we've got that the trial never ends, and welcome to the very end of the road not taken. interesting line for sure.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, I love the setup as the first chapter of a 10 chapter story goes. Like, this has me hooked. Like, I'm really excited to know what happens next. So yeah, the one thing we didn't talk about, and I'm just looking at my notes, I realize is we didn't talk about the Picard Guinan scene,
Right.
which I think needs to be talked about because, uh, of course, my assumption coming in is Guinan is a character who would recognize that the timeline has shifted and she might be used that way this season, and may still, I don't know. But I love that she's in this first episode, not in any kind of role like that, but just as an old trusted friend that Picard goes to talk to. And I'm just like, that didn't even occur to me that that would be why she's in this season. And I love that that's why she's in this episode. So that was wonderful. That was a nice little gift.
It was, and I love when she says, this what you brought me, this wine is not going to cut it. Do you want top shelf or hooch? And the way that he says hooch, I think, is just the way he delivers that line. Just cracked me up.
That was terrific.
It was.
Absolutely.
It
Um,
was indeed.
I have to echo your comment here, by the way, too. This better not be the only Guinan Picard scene I want a Q Guinan encounter. Yes, absolutely 100% agree.
Yeah. So she
Yeah,
can do this again.
exactly. Like, what does that mean? What's...
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
But
she doesn't get on well.
interesting revelation, and I didn't think they needed to do this personally, but it's an interesting revelation that Elorians can, I guess, choose to age faster if they want to.
Mm.
Um, I don't think for me personally, I don't think there had to be any explanation that Whoopi Goldberg looks older, so Guinan's gonna look older. But I guess I appreciate them making, like, they're putting a reason in there, but I personally didn't think it was necessary. I don't know. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I knew that that was explanation for the fans that were going to go, "Oh, she looks older." You
Uh,
should look so good when you're her age. So
right?
just back that truck up and drive away, okay?
Yeah.
You're not doing yourself any favors here. So,
Yeah.
I mean, immediately that was the first time we see that little teaser in a trailer and people were just like, "Oh, she looks so much older." You
Yeah.
don't
She does. It's been 2 days.
Okay,
Like,
would you have said that if Guinan were a man? No, you would not have. So stop being a sexist pig
mhm,
and just go away. So
yeah.
or both really. Just stop it and go away. Because and I did get to go to the Paramount Plus premiere of season of episodes 1 and 2 of Picard, and which I'd already seen, of course, because I get the screeners, blah blah blah.
Mhm,
But there was one person there. There was the chat is just like nonstop because there are so many people there, and there I
right.
saw one guy post, "Oh, for Orla Brady sure looks good for 60," and I'm like, okay, here's how you actually say that. Orla Brady is a great actor. Orla
Mhm,
Brady is a fantastic person. Making a comment about her appearance and then qualifying it with, "Oh, she's this old and she still looks good." No, that
yeah.
is called misogyny. Stop it.
Absolutely 100% agree. Um, yeah. I don't have anything to add to that. That's absolutely 100% right.
Yeah, stop talking about a woman's appearance as if that gives her some kind of extra worth.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, everybody looks great. I think personally, anyway. Um, Guinan, I'm just so happy to see her and have her interact with Picard. And like I said, I don't think there needed to be an explanation or anything,
No.
but I appreciate, I guess, why they felt they had to. But I don't know. I am curious. I don't think we'll see her in the 21st century, but I think that would be really neat if we did, because she's alive and well at that time as well. So I don't know. I still like the idea of a Picard Guinan relationship being the same as like the Doctor and River Song, where not necessarily totally in reverse, but when they first met, Picard had known her for years, and when they first met, Guinan had known him for years. And I just think it's kind of cool. Like, let's screw with that even more and have it like in the middle where Guinan met him the one time, but Picard, I don't know. I think that'd be neat. But
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see. I don't know if they'll do that. I hope so.
I just, why else bring Guinan into it if you're not going to have her in the 21st century?
Yeah.
Just like, why are you going to set this in 2024 and not feature the Bell riots?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Just saying.
Is there anything we haven't talked about that needs talking about? My notes weren't as linear on this one, so I'm worried.
Well, the episode wasn't as linear, so
that's
okay. True. Yeah. Oh, one thing I was going to say, that portrait of Picard after he wakes up in the chateau again, it really, I'm going to have to research this, but it really reminded me of a comic book cover, possibly for a mirror series, but I can't be sure. So it just seemed really familiar to me. And so it feels like that might be homage, but I don't know. I haven't really researched it yet. It just felt familiar to me. Maybe a novel. Maybe it was from a novel cover. Now that I'm thinking about it, it was either, I know it was a drawing, so it was either, I feel like it was either a comic book cover or a novel cover that they kind of based that on.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, it looks great. Like, as terrifying as it is, it's very striking, very cool. Also, I scrolled way back to the beginning because I forgot there was this one as well, and Wellington apparently is not with us this evening, but he did donate $10, so thank you so much, and left this comment as well. He said, I'm working as you read this. We'll catch you later. I managed to avoid spoilers, which was great. Love Picard 2.1, and Brandi is right. Q is
all of those things.
Okay. Let me get a big glass of cold water. Yeah, yes. Silver Fox Q is best Q so far.
Agree. Agree. I could watch him forever. Yeah. Especially in that black suit and everything. Rah! Okay, stop it, Brandi. Stop objectifying that, omnipotent trickster.
What is it? Oh, what is it? Tendi says, "What a snack!"
Oh yes, what a snack! Wow. I gotta remember that, to use that in the future.
For sure. And I loved Picard's reaction to Q was the other thing, where he's just like, he's allowed to say the words that he wasn't allowed to say in TNG when Q shows up. I love that. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you, first of all, Aaron.
Thanks, Aaron.
I think
hi, Aaron.
And yeah, hi. Is based off of Stewart in 80s Dune. Yeah, he looked about the age Patrick Stewart was when he did Dune. I had that thought too, seeing that photo. I was like, I've seen that age Patrick Stewart recently, and where was that? And it's like, yeah, of course. It was because I watched that version of Dune fairly recently. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and that wasn't too long before he started on TNG, because TNG started in 87 and Dune was, I want to say, 84?
Something like that.
Am I right? So, yeah, pretty close.
Absolutely. Yeah. Final thoughts and a rating for The Stargazer.
Okay, well, to be honest, I did not have the same reaction to this episode as most people. I saw plenty of fans going, "This is the best Trek ever," and I'm like, is it? I'm not sure that's true, but that's an opinion. That is an opinion. I wasn't excited to see the Borg again, because it's been overdone. Was not excited about a time travel story, also overdone. And there are just aspects of it where I felt like they were shouting fan service at me. And I'm like, yes, I get it. Yes, I heard the word Excelsior. Yes, I got it. Yes, they've named a ship after Sulu. I got it. Okay, I've got it. That's just kind of how I felt during some of these scenes. That does not mean that I hated the episode. As I said before, I liked the episode, but I didn't love it. I don't like Rios and Starfleet. It doesn't feel right. I hate that Seven merged the holograms because one of my great joys of season 1 was Santiago Cabrera doing all of those different characters because he is a freaking genius. He is a genius. It wasn't just the look of the character. It wasn't just the way the characters spoke. It was a different physicality for every one of them. And it was amazing. And I wanted more of that. And I'm not going to get it. I'm upset. So I feel I'm going to give this episode one road not taken.
Oh, I like it. Yeah. Yeah, my feelings are a little different. I don't think it was the best Trek ever, but I did really enjoy it. There was a lot that I had a lot of fun with in this episode, and there was a joy watching it with Nikki the other night, and it just, I don't know, like, I don't know how to put it. I enjoyed season 1 of Picard, but I felt like everybody on screen and everybody behind the camera were having fun making this.
Mhm.
And there were times in season 1 where I didn't get that feeling. And I mean, because there's a lot of heavy themes in season 1 and there's a lot of trauma that they're dealing with and that sort of thing. There's certainly a lot of fun moments in season 1, many of them stemming from the characters played by Santiago Cabrera that you just were talking about. And I am sad that those are gone as well. Part of me is like, she merged the holograms, they weren't deleted, so maybe we could at some point bring them back, but I don't know.
Yeah. And I see people in the chat asking, oh, I thought they were just deactivated. No, she says in dialogue, I should never have merged all the holograms.
Yeah.
And that, I was watching with subtitles because that's how you find out the stuff that you missed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first time I watched it without subtitles, and I caught that too because in the interview with Jerry Ryan beforehand, she had said something like, I got rid of all the other holograms because they were annoying and only kept that one. And I was really sad about that. And then this one, I was like, oh, what did she say? Oh, that gives me a little bit of hope. So I don't know if they'll ever come back, but
so the doctor's still in there. Yeah, all of them are still in there. And so all of those different facets of the personality come out, but all through Emmett.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And it's kind of sad because he was my least favorite of the holograms too. We got the least amount of time with him though, so I'm sure I'll warm to him. But it's like, that was the one. Okay, all right. The emergency navigational hologram, I think it was Enoch.
Yep, I think you're right.
So great.
Again, here's one thing. Okay, so at the premiere, sorry, you didn't give your rating. Give your rating. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna give it. Shoot, I didn't think this through. I'm gonna give it one really amazing fleet made up of 20 different types of starship that look beautiful. That's my rating.
Yes. Excellent. So yeah, during the premiere of they always say we're going to show you the season premiere, but they always show you episode 2 later anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, there were people who were just like, "Oh, this is over." I'm like, "No, stay. They're always going to show a second episode, you doofus." But in between those 2 episodes, we went live to what I'm pretty sure was an actual bar that I think is going to be the location for the 10 Forward experience, which is available in LA only. Dang it. And we had a host who had been trained by Guinan, of course. I sadly do not remember the woman's name. I really enjoyed her. She was the straight man to the other person who was at the bar, which is an Andorian named Shriv. Shriv decided he wanted to, stop running his own ship for, in the Andorian fleet, and wanted to become a part of Starfleet. And they made him start over as a cadet, and he is not amused. And he is slowly getting more and more drunk on Sorry and Brandi. This was improv gold, I swear to you. Shriv is now the mascot of 10 Forward in my heart.
Nice.
And but they did pub trivia, which I should have tried to get in on the trivia because I knew every freaking answer. Softball questions, but they had some special guests, and one of them was Santiago Cabrera. And there were so many people in the chat were going, I didn't know he had an English accent. Just like, he's
That's
just
funny.
that good, folks.
Mhm.
He's just that good.
He really is. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I'm so jealous. I see that Aaron is going to be going to that bar. I'm very jealous. I wish I could be there.
Aaron said he recorded the whole thing.
I did see that too. That's
Yes.
awesome. I'm gonna get a copy of that. That's cool. Yeah, I definitely did not go to the virtual premiere, so that sounds like a lot of fun. I'm glad they're having fun with it, and the other thing I really noticed about this second season of Picard, and this was the case with season one as well, but the sheer amount of promotion they're doing, and I want to say in the real world, but like the non Star Trek fan centered world, like the normals see ads for Picard a lot in a lot of places, which I like the push that they put out for it, and I hope lots of people tune in and watch it, and it does really well. Um, but yeah, I'm digging the season so far. I'm loving the setup. I'm really eager to see more. So yeah, I hope.
Yeah. I agree with you that Santiago is glorious on the eyes. He also can sing. Like, he can sing. He did this video a while back. He's not really big on social media, but every once in a while he'll pop in. And he did this video a while back when the pandemic was really, shutdowns were happening and stuff. And he had his little ukulele, and he sang a song about how it was gonna be all right. And yet his face was just like, maybe. And it was, but he's a very talented singer. He's just this amazing package of an actor and performer, and I can't get enough of him.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, he's been a real treat. I love that he's in Star Trek because he yeah, seems really cool. So I just want to see Enoch again.
Right?
Anyway, if that was the navigational one, I think, right? Yeah. Um
Yeah.
was it yeah, Raffi, it was Raffi kissed him and he had that moment. I was just like, I love it.
He's a genius. He
He's
is
so
a
good.
freaking genius.
He's another one that, like, when he's on screen, you kind of like, he looks exactly the same. They don't do any like, but they're different characters. I forget they're all Santiago Cabrera. It's great.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing is, like, the first time we see the emergency medical hologram, I spent that entire scene of him cleaning up Rios going, "Is that the same guy?"
Yeah.
Because he behaved so differently, and it wasn't just the appearance, but it was the behavior, it was the voice, it was
Mhm.
everything. And I'm just like, is it? And I spent like half the season wondering, is it? So yeah, that's
Mhm.
talent. That is just talent.
Absolutely. What a great acting exercise too. That's pretty cool.
Mhm. Mhm.
Well, Brandi, when you're not admiring Santiago Cabrera, or maybe even while you are admiring Santiago Cabrera, where can people find you online?
Just go to Twitter and find me at Brandywine12 because I'm too tired to go through the other things that you can find me on, but you'll see me posting about them on Twitter. So that's the easiest way.
Excellent. You can also find me on Twitter at Kertrats. That's Kertrats. And the Positively Trek podcast that I do with Bruce, coming out every week, talking about the new episodes of Star Trek and the news. And of course, it's extra long this week, like the Unready room was, because 2 episodes for the next 3 weeks. So, lots of Star Trek to consume and lots of coffee to consume.
Yes,
So,
inject it straight into me now.
exactly. So thank you all so much for joining us. And thank you all, of course, who are watching this later. I really appreciate each and every one of you. And good night. And we will see you again next week to talk about an episode of Discovery whose title has not yet been released, and the episode Penance of Star Trek Picard. Bye.